Afternoon, January 18th. Lots to digest, lots to talk about. Texans over the Chargers, Ravens over the Steelers. I mean, Steelers are the first team in Super Bowl era to go 8 straight seasons without having a losing record and have zero playoff wins. They're winning, but are they really winning? Bills over the Broncos, Eagles over the Packers, Commanders over the Bucks. Lions head coach Dan Campbell says Commanders rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels is a star and extremely dangerous. They face off today, later tonight. He is dangerous. He's dangerous. He poses a major threat. He does not play the position like a rookie quarterback. That is certainly for sure. Commanders rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels has more playoff wins than Tua Tagovailoa, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, and Justin Herbert combined. Shocking. I mean, more playoff wins than 4 Pro Bowl quarterbacks. It's unbelievable. Rams over the Bucks. LA is really playing some really good football at the right time right now. Patriots get their guy Mike Vrabel. I know Galen is happy. Notre Dame over Penn State. The Ohio State over Texas. The BCS is now set. The Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame uphill battle. The Ohio State is favored by 8.5. Galen, welcome back to the program. Seems like the last time we were on air, and you're back now again. A lot has changed in the sports world.
Yeah, Kemford, feels good to be back. How's it going?
Going well. Real quick, your thoughts on Vrabel being hired by the Patriots? You surprised? Not surprised? Was this the guy they always wanted all along? It seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, it would appear that way. I mean, like I had sent you with our show prep. Yeah, it just seems like he was the guy in all honesty, not just this year, but going back the last calendar year. There was a lot of, you know, suspense and optimism, rumor mills surrounding, him, Mike Rabel, and the Patriots a year ago. But it only seemed like they were just going to look to hope for the best and just try their luck because, as it obviously ended up coming out, there was that sort of a agreement, behind the scenes. While, at the time, former coach Bill Belichick was still, heading this team, on the sidelines as their active coach. Obviously, reports were leaking out that there was that handshake and all but guaranteed, like, yep, you're gonna be the next coach, the one to follow in Bill Belichick's footsteps. So basically, because it was written into the contract, come to find out, they didn't really need or have to worry about the Rooney Rule and going through you know like a coaching search or any of that because he was already anointed and you know just given the job behind the scenes back channel. And according to reports, if it hadn't been for that and a pretty expensive buyout, I want to say it was like about 10 million. It seemed like in them conducting what would have been and should have been uh, a thorough search and make sure that Mayo was indeed that guy. If come to find out it would have been him, still, um, yeah, they were able to bypass the search and the Rooney Rule and just being reprimanded for just kind of keeping things in house. But it seemed like all reports were indicating that they were very interested, if not enamored, with Mike Rabel and vice versa. I mean, let's face it. Going back about a year and a half ago when he got inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. I mean, he made some pretty strong, remarks saying, "Hey, basically flat out, it's not the same, everywhere else, and I feel like comments like that definitely, really hit home, especially with the Kraft family. So here we are, fast forward a year later, things obviously don't go according to plan. Mayo and company finished the season with, a very, piss poor
Did he?
4-win season. And, now all of a sudden you start hearing the chants towards the end of the season, closing out there from the fan base, fire Mayo. Like, it just turned
Did he
into
get a
a,
raw deal? It seemed like he got a raw deal right after the press conference. He was let go, right? It seemed like
right.
was
It
he
was
just a
like
band
about,
aid
it was
for a
like,
year?
it was like
Yeah,
about
an hour
basically an
after the press
hour.
cons.
Yeah, an hour, hour and a
Yeah.
half. It was just it. Like I said, it just turned into like a snowball effect. To a point
Did he
of
get the
like
raw deal though?
I
Was he
said,
like a band aid though,
I,
Galen, for just 1 year? You give this
I,
guy a short end of the stick. Nothing
yeah,
really
I
got
feel
developed. We really don't know his full potential wasn't maxed out, right? We don't really know.
right. I feel like at the end of the day, um, yeah, you can kind of make a point that he got a an unfair shake and a borderline raw deal, but the fact of the matter is that, listen, I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this, being obviously a huge fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. But let's just say
We want to
Sirianni.
fire Sirianni every day. I mean, the guy doesn't win tomorrow. Like they're calling for his job. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
And he's
and,
win
and
a
I'm and I'm
lot
sure
of games.
I'm sure we'll get into that. But just let's just assume that we don't know what we obviously have come to know about Sirianni. Sirianni is basically Gerard Mayo, like, but down in Philly. Former player, well loved and respected by the base, ownership, all that stuff. But then you go into year one, and it's a tough season. He's like legit
Rookie
learning on the
quarterback.
fly.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
like to feel like, just flat out, don't you want to see growth? Don't you want to see improvements eventually, somewheres down the line?
of course.
Somewhere's you're
One
gonna
season's not gonna cut it.
yeah, but you know what? Like, guess what, Kemfer? At least here in New England, we never seen growth for the whole first half. Anywhere's at the middle point of the season, and certainly coming down the stretch run into the second half. And granted, I know the Patriots roster was in a bad way. Everybody knows that. Everybody can
Yeah.
see that all throughout the league. But there was just blunder after blunder after blunder. There was a lot of, like, okay, for example, Ramondre's gonna be benched, only to find out, like, legit, the game kicks off and he's the first running back onto the field. So there was that reneging approach as well too. He would say one thing and go completely back on it and do the opposite. And then there was also the media. I mean, he didn't eventually start to actually kind of conduct himself and even really come across as respectful, really, in terms of him even being able to handle and being able to deal, like you would expect from a head coach stand base. I mean, from a head coach standpoint, even handling that, there was a lot of, like, just, why did he say that? And or just valid questions being asked in him, and he would just go Bill Belichick. But yet again, he doesn't want to be Bill Belichick. He'd be like, coach's decision. So it's just like
You
he
think
was
he gets?
trying.
You think
He
he
was
gets
trying
another
to be the
chance?
he was trying to be the anti Bill Belichick, and it was a total mess. It was a total flop. And I think eventually he may get an opportunity. I'm not saying that I don't
Somewhere else?
think that yeah, I don't think that he's not deserving of an opportunity. It's just it might take him a little while. I mean, let's face it, he wasn't even the coordinator here in New England before being, just thrusted right into the job, you know?
It looks like
So
Robert Kraft did him a solid, right? It looks like did him a solid for maybe a year. See what happens. Didn't work
yeah,
out.
I
Got rid
mean,
of him.
maybe, but it's just
Maybe he
like,
gets another shot down the line, but he's got to prove himself,
I,
though, right? I
I,
mean, his
I
first head coaching
yeah,
job in New England, taking over Bill Belichick and
yeah.
Brady. That's not an easy task. 20
It's
years, you guys have greatness for 20 years. It's not easy.
big shoes. It's
It's
big
definitely not
shoes to
easy.
to fill, certainly. But like I said, it's just like, had we seen the growth, that ownership, fans, like, obviously who doesn't want to see
So
growth?
if he won
I,
about 7, 8 games, he would be in okay. He'll be bring him back next year if he won like about 7 or 8 games this season.
yeah, I mean, certainly if he wins 7 or 8 games, but like I said, I would even take, 4 or 5 wins, basically like exactly how they finish, but just small steps, even like some sort of growth as a coach. There's 18
Okay.
weeks in an NFL season, and we literally saw basically the same guy that was pretty much clueless and really like playing from behind. It was almost like he was playing catch up, like all the way back at the start of the season, week one. And here we are,
Yeah.
and he's still noticeably behind with not really much growth and signs of just getting it, just being conscionable, as a head
Right.
coach. And like I said, you can go right down the line, play calling, going back on his word, really kind of like more often than not, like just not even having a clue in terms of how to approach the media and answer the questions accordingly, being accountable, all the stuff, in-game decisions. Like, I'm sorry, I feel like he, in a way, yes, this roster is gonna take at least minimum of 2 years to even show anything and grow as an organization. That's just how bad the state of the Patriots are right now, currently from a roster standpoint. So I'm not talking about that. But the fact of the matter is like it never got to a point where people was just saying fire Bill. You know what I mean? Like the
No, no,
fan
no.
base was just over it. The fan base is clamoring. So at the end of the day, I feel like the Crafts, their hands literally were forced. Even if they wanted to hold true to their word, we just
Yeah.
got to
He
a
had no
point.
choice in the
Yeah,
matter.
it got to a point of no return with him. Like you couldn't, or else
Yeah.
you were literally gonna piss off and lose the fan base, and they were already losing money, bro. You know what I mean? They're losing money. They're not selling out.
I mean,
We're seeing the ticket
I mean,
prices dropping by the week. They were gonna lose even more, big dollars
it's crazy when
for
you
the
think of it because
2025
20
season.
years of greatness. I mean,
Oh
Brady and
yeah,
Belichick put a lot of money in winning what 7 Super Bowls,
right.
and you see this now. It's just talk about a fall from grace, but we'll keep
Yeah,
an eye on that.
that's
He's
that's what it's turned
definitely.
into.
I think Vrabel is definitely an upgrade, but we'll see what happens with him and the Patriots next season,
And don't
and
get
Mayo
it
what
twisted.
where he goes from here.
He has a tough job too. But the biggest difference between the two is he's been there, done that. You know, he's taken,
Proven in Tennessee,
situation.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, he's taken
yeah,
situations that have been very murky or whatever and not all that optimistic. And he's moved mountains. You know what I mean? He's been to an AFC
yeah.
championship game, he's got double digits, multiple years in terms of victories. Like, you know, his guys show up on game day prepared, ready, mentally, physically, and it's just a well coached team. Right now, we need a coach like this that just has a clue, has a plan, has a vision, and more so knows how to go about and executing that division. Might take a little while, might be even a very similar
Yeah,
to
Rome's not
season
built in a
like
day,
like
right?
like
So
like
it's
what
going to
we
take some
saw
time.
this year. Maybe another two,
Yeah,
three, 4 wins. I'm not expecting this team to jump up from 4 wins to 9 or 10. We might only see
but
this
just show
team
some
win like
improvement,
seven or 8 wins, but that will be
right?
a noticeable come up, and this is what this franchise needs right now.
Who's your BCS pick? The Ohio State, Notre Dame, college football Monday nights. I mean, Notre Dame, uphill battle. The Ohio State favored by 8.5. Who do you see winning this game come Monday night?
I see
Or will
Ohio
we see an
State.
upset? The Ohio State
I
blowout,
mean,
close game, or
right now, I mean, you can never rule out an upset. I mean, that's always possible. I feel like we're seeing more and more of that go down
especially in
in the
college?
college in the
Yeah,
college in the college ranks, especially. Yep, I agree.
right.
But I don't know if you look at Ohio State, both sides of the ball. I mean, they are the favorite. They're my favorite. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of Ohio State, so I want them to win. A little bit of bias there, but at the end of the day, I feel
Yeah.
like they are the most complete team, and I fully expect that they're going to show that come Monday night.
Yeah, I mean they destroyed Oregon. That game was over by before even the halftime. Penn State and Notre Dame was a pretty good game and came down to the field goal. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, could an upset happen? Can anything happen? Sure, it's sports, right? But at the end of the day, the Ohio State, they're loaded from top to bottom, and they should win this game. Maybe close, but they should win this game come Monday. Wild, wild weekend of wild card NFL games last week. Um, which quarterback had the the worst week, Galen? I mean, Justin Herbert, 4 picks. He had 3 picks all year. He threw 4 in the game versus the Texans last week. Jordan Love he had 3 picks versus the Eagles, and Baker Mayfield with some costly fumbles. And Sam Darnold, did he play his last game as a Viking? Which quarterback to you, Galen, out of those 4 had the worst week last week?
I would have to say it was. I'm probably going to lean with Herbert in the Chargers. I mean, because that's just like, how does that even happen in a single game? You managed to throw more interceptions in that game.
What
4,
you
count them,
thrown
not
all
one, not
year?
two,
Yeah,
but 4
not 3, but
interceptions.
4.
But you finished
Right,
with 3 all season long.
all season long.
I
You
mean,
choose the worst time to have the worst game of the NFL season with 4 picks in the
I mean,
game. How does that even, like you said,
it,
how does that even happen?
if you think about that, like, would you even like take that bet if that was even a prop that
And
was
I
out
and
there? Like,
and no, and no, no way.
I don't even know if
I would
that
laugh.
if
I would
anyone
laugh at
ever,
that because
yeah, if anyone ever would feel confident and okay, like, yeah, I'll take that prop. Yep, you know what I mean. 4
yeah,
interceptions, here we come. No, you're not gonna take that.
I had I had the Chargers winning this game. I figured by coaching and Texans been like beat up all year, no digs,
Oh,
Collins
I
banged
thought for
up, and
sure the
Tank Bell
Chargers were
banged
gonna win
up,
that game. Yep.
and they've just been limping in. Texans playing a weak division, and I'm like, the Chargers are gonna, much better division, well coached. Not to say anything's wrong with Miko Ryans, but to me, the Texans were just like limping into the playoffs. They just got there just because the division is so terrible.
Right.
But I thought for
And
sure going into
and
this
I
game that the
and I
Chargers were going
was
to win this game.
and I was picking them knowing doggone well like this. Well, it probably would have been considered an upset because it's obviously the whole like away team beating the home team. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like if you're Houston, the Texans there, like you were saying, they would just favored by default, just because again you have to probably
Yeah,
give them the slight edge, the upper hand being at home in front of that, rowdy and just souped up crowd and stuff. But then you look at the actual personnel in the field, like, yep, yeah, you're probably definitely giving the edge to Herbert. So we thought over C.J. Stroud, especially after
yeah,
the,
for
the
sure,
season
for
after the
sure.
season he had. And then even if you do like Stroud, you certainly don't like his remaining, supporting cast at wide
Yeah, no,
receiver with all these
no,
many injuries that they've now
right,
been facing virtually uphill battle all season. So yeah,
right.
they would have the edge in that department. I mean, the only sort of edge the Texans probably would have had, I would have to say, is probably at running back, because let's face it, I mean, Joe Mixon, he's been an absolute stud for them. And then you can never rule out that defense. I probably certainly would have given
Yeah,
them the upper edge there. But I feel like at the end of the day, the Chargers just had noticeably more weapons, certainly had the upper edge. Like I said, despite being on the road at quarterback, and it was just like, wow, what a time for them to play arguably and most likely their worst game of the season. I mean, they were
yeah.
just better off not even going because it just they didn't even show up. It was like as if like
Yeah.
they were like, all right, we made it here, but now we're just gonna completely let our foot off the gas. And like I said, 4 picks after only throwing 3. Like, yeah, we
All
probably won't
year.
ever see that
Just
again.
terrible.
That's awful.
Yeah, I had Herbert having the worst week. And Jordan Love with 3 picks, Galen. Those picks were pretty bad also too. I
right.
mean, Jordan Love. I mean, the Eagles beat him in the first opening game this season out there in
Right.
Brazil, and they ended the season as well, the Packer season last week. Um,
Do you
you
think
still have
we're
faith
starting?
in you?
I was just gonna say,
You
do you
have
think we're
faith in
starting to
Jordan
get?
Love?
I was just gonna say, do you think we're starting to get to a point with Jordan Love where it's just like,
Paid
will
him a lot of
we?
money.
Yeah, I mean, is he
Those
is
picks were bad,
does
bad.
he have the goods, the makeup to be able to rise and kind of like level up come playoff time? Because I mean, he's had now multiple great seasons during the regular season. I mean, he's not really a problem week in and week
He won
out.
11 games. Yeah, they win
Non
games. He's quiet,
playoffs.
goes about his business.
But then I feel like when the lights turn on, they're
Around
that
bright.
much
Yeah,
they're that much brighter, and the stakes get risen in playoff football. I don't know. It seems like he's kind of like flatlining. He's not leveling up. He's not matching the intensity, and just all the pressure that comes with it. So, I mean, if you're a Packers fan, you got to be, scratching your head. Like you said, there's that contract now, um, getting paid big boy money, and you got to see more. You got to see more from
yeah.
a guy like Jordan Love. I mean, you want that contract. You were given that contract. Now you just have to kind of meet the stakes that come with it, because I mean you look at that team, and they have a pretty good offense. They have pretty good coaching, I would have to say. You just you're not matching what they have going on there down in Green Bay. And I don't know if it's him, um, just being a little like I don't know,
They've
just
got a
nerve.
young team. They've got a
You
young
think
team, but a little
it's
nervous, a little shaky. I
yeah,
think he looked better in the
nervousness?
playoffs last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably nervousness. He looked better in the playoffs last year for sure. This time around, it was just
I mean,
I
the
don't know if
good
he's
thing I would
hurt
have to
or he
say is
just looked a little
he's
shaky.
young. He's young. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he's young.
So
Yeah,
he
he's young.
still has time, but I feel like as early as next year, um, I mean, you got to think this just can't continue to play out. There's no
Not like
excuse
this.
for
Yeah, not like
there's
this.
no excuse for them not to be making noise in the NFC. You know, um, I don't know. Like
Tough division also too. Yeah.
again, it is a tough division, but
They got a
they're not
terrible
that far
matchup. I
away.
mean, right off the bat, there was the Eagles. Big bad Eagles, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
I
the
mean, not like
Eagles.
they
I'm not surprised
yeah
that they
at
lost.
home,
It's just the
right? It's just how the
performance,
fact of how they lost the
right?
performance. Yeah, yeah.
It's
Just
just the
basically one
performance,
touchdown run and then a 3 points field goal. Got to do
right?
better than that in playoffs. Bucks had a nice season, not great, but nice season. Mike Evans, the stud, Hall of Famer. Godwin banged up. Baker's been really good ever since leaving Cleveland. Galen, but that game was a back and forth game. But those costly fumbles, Galen, just can't. It just can't happen. Those fumbles cannot happen. Deep in the red zone, you practice that stuff all the time, and at the worst opportune moment at the game, these fumbles basically cost the Buccaneers the game and ultimately their season.
Yeah, sure did. I mean, same thing. He had a hell of a season, a great season all year, and he just showed a lot of growth, a lot of maturity, great leadership. Only to again right out the gate and the opening week of the playoffs just kind of you know piss it all away, and kind of like revert back to the shaky quarterback that he had been prior to these last couple years. I mean, it wasn't always rainbows and sunshine, for Baker Mayfield. I mean, let's face it. I mean, obviously he got drafted by Cleveland, and here he is. You know,
Second
he's on to
chance,
the
making it
he's
happen.
he's on to the next in Tampa Bay. So if
Right.
he had shown in Cleveland what he's been showing in Tampa Bay, they probably re-up him, and you know we're talking about playing for the same franchise virtually his whole career. But here you are, you're given a second chance, you're looking good, you're stepping up. He was really balling out, and I was very, very pleased with his maturation and his leadership and him just, you know, really leading this team, both on and off the field. I mean, he's just showing signs of just like he gets it, he does belong. And then again, it's just like, yeah, they just
Yeah.
weren't able to, keep it going, in the opening
Yeah.
week. So, but I don't know. I just feel like, this is probably more, I don't know. I feel like I want to pump the brakes when it comes to Baker because, like I said, um,
Really
I
nice
I
season.
I
Really
I
nice
I
turnaround.
I think at the end of the day, he does have the goods. It's just again nervousness, the jitters. I don't know, but I don't think
Yeah.
it was an absolute clown show like I said, Herbert. Like yeah, the fumbles you want to see like kept to a minimum and be kept at bay, but at the end of the day, he just seems to be a little bit further ahead in other departments where Jordan Love. I mean, he's certainly worthy of being questioned.
For sure. Sam Darnold, hell of a season, Galen. 14-3, playoff berth. 4,319 yards passing, 35 touchdowns, 67.5% completion rate, top five in passing yards and touchdowns. First quarterback to win 14 games in a debut season with a new team, Galen. Have we seen the last of Sam Darnold in a Viking uniform? Because to me, he just looked not the same guy we've seen all year, lost, and the Vikings were playing with no sense of urgency. I'm like, what are they really doing out here? And granted, the Rams are hot, really, really hot, but you're playing in a game that you should have won. You had a great year. I just don't know what happened. Is it coaching? Was it the quarterback, Sam Darnold? Seemed like he was actually seeing ghosts on his Jet days, but he seemed like he was lost out there. And Kevin O'Connell seemed like he just kind of like took his foot off the gas in the coaching, and it was like over. Like they knew like it was over. Third quarter, it was over. Sad way to end the season. 14-3 is no laughing matter, Galen. Tough division, yes, but have we seen the last of Sam Darnold in a Viking uniform?
Well, I just have one question for you.
Yeah.
Will the will the real Sam Donald please stand up?
Little Slim Shady there, huh?
Oh my goodness, what was that? 14 and
What
3,
happened?
only to
Yeah,
literally just execute. Talk about a no show. I mean, that
yeah,
was a no show with the best of them. That was a no show if I ever seen just that at the quarterback position as an offense. It
yeah,
was a complete no show
yeah.
for that whole offense. I mean, let's face it, they were not the same elusive, high flying, skilled offense that they've shown virtually all season. I mean, they've been clicking on all cylinders, like you were just saying with Sam Donald. Obviously, the wide receivers, definitely, making plays on the ground with Aaron Jones. To getting the play calling and all that to have it all come together and the proper coaching, just bringing it to fruition week in and week out. But all of it was a complete no show, and they were just like a shell of themselves. And I mean, why is that? I mean, was it Sam Donald? Just once again, stakes rising. The Brights, are uh, as bright as they've been all season. Now with it being playoffs, was it the whole expectation in terms of okay, um, here we are the playoffs, I got to continue to show it. Was it that pressure internally, the anxiety, knowing that like, I mean, no one's probably expecting them to come out the NFC and actually finish it and probably win the Super Bowl. But I feel like for Sam Donald, he really, really would have moved mountains and did him and his family, let's face it, a ton of good.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I want to ask you. Um, if he just continue to keep that ball rolling, or even if they did come up short, I mean, at least resemble, at least show that you know you were gonna give it give it like a legitimate um, battle. At least you know just go down like given that hard fought, sort of type effort. I
Yeah.
mean, um, can 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 we get the statistics that you've been basically putting up all year? Can we see a couple touchdowns? I just feel like if his if him and the Vikings come up short, but they actually look good doing so, and basically like the team that they've been. Oh my God! I
Yeah.
mean, what sort of like dollars? What kind of money is being thrown at him?
Right.
Is
Did he lose money that game, Galen?
as
He
early
lost
as this
money. He
off
lost
season?
money.
I feel like he
He
did.
lost money.
I feel like
Yeah.
he's still gonna get paid, but could he put it over the top and really set himself up um as good as he's ever has up until this point? Oh, you betcha. You know what? Yeah, I mean, he cost himself. I feel a good chunk of change. I mean, I think he's still going to get paid
Mm.
because of some of the position that, like, a few of these teams are obviously going to have and going to need to fill at the quarterback position this offseason. But, like, is there now kind of that whole, like, head scratching, like, do we really want to break the bank and take the chance on him? Or do we want to try and, like, pursue it elsewhere, whether it's, you know, maybe other guys, that they don't see that far off from him in free
L-
agency, or even more so like the draft. I mean, there's always a draft as a direct threat. So, I mean, I don't know. He had a chance to really kind of like set himself apart and really kind of like, oh, there's Sam Donald, and then there's these other free agents, and then of course there's these like potential franchise type of potentials, and like the Shadors and the Cam Wards and those guys. You know what I mean? But I feel like now it's kind of like a leveling sort of
Yeah.
like there's Sam Darnold and
So
then there's his competition. So he
if
definitely
if
didn't
you're the
do himself
Vikings brass,
any favors.
if you're the Vikings brass, do you say maybe JJ is not ready yet, and you tag Sam for maybe 40 plus for one season, see what he's got one more year, or you've seen enough and you're just like, well, we drafted McCarty so high, might as well roll with him now, and Sam test the free agency market. I mean, it's a
Well, I
big decision.
yeah, I mean it is a pretty big decision, but I mean, like I said, I feel like Sam didn't totally hurt himself, so I still expect that like it should play out, even though like I'm sure you heard the same rumors. I mean, he was playing so well there virtually all season and put him in great position to get to this point. I mean, let's face it, he had a career year. We haven't really seen this type of um, high level and more
Output from
consistent.
him, yeah.
Yeah, we
Big
we
state
we
game, yeah.
yeah,
Neutral
and more
site.
so we've never really seen the consistency from Darnold. So there were those rumors saying like, oh well, maybe he does become their guy moving forward, and you kind of look to dangle JJ McCarthy and sell high on him with his prospects just a year ago coming out the draft, and you get like a few picks to stockpile moving forward, um and just kind of spinning him off. I mean, I thought that was a bit of a stretch. You took McCarthy relatively high a year ago in last year's draft,
Right,
obviously
right.
labeling and anointing him pretty much the franchise when making that pick. The future quarterback there for Minnesota. So I wasn't. I didn't really understand where those rumors were coming from. I didn't understand why they were out there. I still think McCarthy should and will be their guy. Um, and if you're McCarthy, is there now going to be a little disgruntledness if you insist on, uh, giving the keys for one more season to Sam Donald? You really kind of like just take care of him financially. Um, so I mean, if that does play out, you're not going to look to sign him for some pretty big money. Just coming off of the year that they just had 14 wins or whatever, only to now to sit behind McCarthy. So I feel like if
Yeah,
you look
no.
at it, I mean, don't you think that one of them has to go? I mean, if it's Sam Darnold,
In
then you're,
hindsight,
you're
hindsight
probably signing
2020.
him for a long term deal. But if it's not that, then you might as well just let him walk, I guess, and say, hey, thanks, we appreciate it. And then, I mean, let's face it, McCarthy by default sat this whole past year, not due to him not being ready or not
Injured.
getting it. He got injured. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, and then
But
seeing
Galen,
what,
look at this. I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead.
this guy won 14 games, right? And it's
Yep.
like, okay, thank you very much. Thanks. And we'll move on to the rookie. I mean, the guy won 14 games in a tough division. So you go to McCarthy now. To me, you're taking a step back because you don't know what you're going to get with him. There's no sample size out there. He might win you 10 games just because of a nice system, but he's still a rookie quarterback. He's got a lot to learn, not to prove. So
And
and unless the
I
injury's
get it.
coming along way faster than projected, yeah, but you're not really losing anything with just paying Sam another 40 million, franchise tagging him and see what happens and give McCarthy one more year. It's a tough decision, man. It's a tough decision.
But the thing is, this is what I was getting at though. But with McCarthy, it's just like by according to a lot of the reports that were out there going into the year, he was really coming on strong. And had he not gotten injured, there's a good chance we don't ever see Sam Donald, let alone him really taking this organization by storm and leading them to 14 wins later. So if McCarthy was really like coming on and really it was clicking pre-injury, then I gotta ask you. I'll ask anybody. Then what's changed in terms of that optimistic and that confidence? Is shouldn't it be
Me,
shouldn't it be a matter of just getting him finally healthy to like, all right, cool, we're ready to go. I'm over the injury. Let's get back at it. And
yeah,
on top of
I'm on
it,
the
he got a chance to sit on the sidelines for the whole year and really kind of delve in like never before to get even more invested, more into this playbook or whatever. I mean, call me
I just
crazy,
don't
but
know.
I just think that he could be more ready than what you're giving him credit for,
Yeah, I
especially
don't know.
after
I'm on the
what
fence.
we
I'm on the fence.
especially after what we saw from the other three rookie quarterbacks, May, Jaden, and Caleb. I mean, this quarterback rookie class is seeming to hit the ground running, and the light bulb for the most part is
So
going on with all of them, and there's really
let
no reason why he just can't basically a year later follow in their footsteps. I mean,
let me ask you this. So you get
these
rid of
guys are
Sam
delivering.
and
These guys are
you
delivering.
give McCarthy the reins and you see it with all these other quarterbacks playing really well. What if McCarthy's injury prone? And what if he wins 9 games next year? What do you say? Well, we should have kept Sam Darnold. Because to me, Sam is more proven than JJ.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about Sam Darnold being proven for what? 1 year? 1 year. We can't really
14 wins.
we can't really say that before this year in the way it played out, unfortunately. Had the sample size and the proven ability of Sam Darnold be able to raise his teammates, raise some of these offenses that he was part of and leading prior to this year. Had he been perceived, let's face it, as more starter material than backup, because he was also kind of like just starting to flounder away and be known and looked at as like one of the better backups in the league and not really a starter anymore. And if anything, someone that had played his way out of starting consideration. So I mean, which is it? Is it this year that can every
It's a
bit?
tough call. It is
Is
tough.
it going to be this year that every bit can turn into like fool's gold, or is it going to be a year later more of like what we've come to know about Sam Darnold? That's like, if you're the Vikings, like you said, it's a tough call. It's not easy, but there's a lot more proven sort of resume there surrounding Darnold with the whole, yeah, I think this might be fool's gold, and he can easily just revert back to being what he had been prior to 2024.
Well, I
And
guess I'm
if
on
that,
Team Darnold, and
and if
you're on
that's the,
Team JJ.
if that's the case, you're gonna pay 1 year, of 40 million. Oof, that's very
Yeah.
risky. That's very
It's,
risky.
which losing team is in better shape, Galen, moving forward? Chargers, Packers, Bucks, Vikings. Better shape for next season. Which losing team? Bum bum bum.
Chargers, Packers, or
Bucks and Vikings.
Bucks and Vikings. I would have to say probably I'm gonna lean towards the Vikings. For again, a lot
With
of
a rookie quarterback?
what a lot of what
You're
I
crazy. You're
was gonna say.
crazy.
Well, no,
All
because
right.
look at it like this, right? They have a very good, offense, borderline
That
elite.
division is tough,
Okay,
though. Lions, Packers.
it is tough. It is tough, but you have very good offense, a borderline elite. On that side of the ball, they have a really talented and skilled defense, and yeah, Brian Flores' name is being floated out there as a possible head coach candidate. And it's very obvious, he wants another crack at it. He's looking for an opportunity. So I don't think it will take much if he gets seriously considered for one of these positions. He very well could also be gone come next season. But assuming his time is just not yet and things don't shake out for him this go around, now he's coming back to lead this defense. And they're already really good. We don't know what the draft slash free agency is going to end up bringing them to add on to that, and certainly we don't know just yet if they're going to lose any noticeable pieces. But if they come back um, close or very similar to what we saw them basic basically be this year and end off by year's end, if not even better, now you got a damn good offense. You have a damn good, basically near elite defense, very skilled. Um, can get after the quarterback, can cause turnovers, and now again we look and turn our attention to the quarterback position. I don't know. There was a lot of optimism again regarding
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy. He went higher than a lot of people expected in the draft because there was that excitement. There was that whole like he just showed well. He interviewed very well. Like he seemed to be legitimately climbing the ranks in terms of his draft stock for all the right reason. He didn't seem to be a fluke. I mean, did I want my Patriots to take him at 3? No, I thought that was a little bit too soon. But did I see him start to potentially make a case just inside the top 10, 7, 8, 9, somewheres in that range? Yep, absolutely. I did. And I don't know if you go back to his college tape. I mean, he just seemed to. he wasn't the most dynamic. He's not the most skilled, but this kid just he's got that winning sort of gene, in him. He's got that winning sort of, you
So
know,
you're all sold on JJ. You're
I
all the
wouldn't say that
Vikings
I'm
next year.
completely sold, but he just has that ability just to do whatever it takes. Be a good leader, make plays, just you know, find a way. And I feel like sometimes with these quarterbacks that can do that, find a way, knows how to basically connect with their guys both on and off the field. Um, there's that good coaching, obviously, to go along with that. I just feel like, don't rule it out. I mean, you're almost kind of making it seem like this guy's like a borderline scrub, and I don't
No, I just
I,
don't believe it. I just haven't
I
seen
don't know
enough.
if I would if I would be so quick just to assume that okay, he's probably not going to win 14 wins, but who's to say that Sam Darnold's going to follow up a year from now with 14 wins? I mean, 14
He
wins is
could.
very very hard to do, especially in the NFL. But I mean, could Darnold come back and get 10 or 11 wins? And if that's the case, don't you think McCarthy, with this supporting cast that he's about to take over, I would think can get the same 10 or 11 wins, especially
It's
with
possible.
good coaching on
Possible.
both sides of the ball? I mean, I don't know, man. I just think you don't take him as high as you did just to now all of a sudden continue to give Sam Donald the benefit of the doubt, you know?
So you're
I don't
rolling
know.
with the Vikings. I'm gonna probably roll with the Packers. Pretty high on Jordan Love. They got the youngest team in the league. Defense. This guy Jair Alexander says he doesn't know if he will be with the team next year and declined to speak to the media. Jair says he has nothing good to say and is uninterested in talking. Bucks are nice. Bucks should be back. Godwin is back, and next year Baker's Baker, and then
Do you
Herbert.
think Godwin comes back next year?
Yeah, I think so. I
I
think
think
so.
he's about to get paid. I don't know about that.
Maybe. I mean, Evans is kind of getting old up there, but
I'll
still
take him
Mike
here in
Evans,
New
still
England.
great.
I'll take him here in New England. Just saying. I'll take some
Let's talk
Godwin
about
shares.
these. So you're gonna go with the Vikings, better team next year, Vikings, right? I'm gonna pick the Packers, and we'll see, right? 2025, it's on. Let's talk about the Chargers, Galen. I mean, the Chargers, great coach, obviously. Justin Herbert seems like he doesn't get criticized enough, Galen, but we're not sugarcoating anything today. Obviously, they need some wide receiver help, right? And obviously, kicking field goals is not going to do it. I mean, this guy, Justin Herbert, first quarterback since 1950 to throw more interceptions in a playoff game than he did throughout the entire regular season. Is Justin Herbert, Galen, the problem in LA? I mean, 14 of 32, 242, only one touchdown, four picks, 40.9 passer rating. To me, why does Justin Herbert get a free pass? I don't think he deserves a free pass. Yes, commercials are nice, got great hair, all the stuff he's got going for him, Galen. But at some point in time, this guy's supposed to be a franchise quarterback, right? And you brought Harbaugh in there to elevate him in his game. And they play really good defense. And, three picks all year is pretty good, very cautious with the weapons what they have. But at some point in time, Galen, we got to start criticizing Justin Herbert as much as we do Jalen Hurts. I mean, when is enough enough? As a Charger fan base, this guy's supposed to be great, big arm, came from Oregon, really good quarterback, Galen. But four picks in one game, and him getting a just, it's the Chargers. Yeah, he's nice. Okay, he doesn't get criticized enough, Galen. Why is that?
Probably because if I were to guess, when it comes to Justin Herbert, and stop me if you think that
What do you think when you
this
think
ain't
of Justin
overstated.
Herbert? What do you think of?
I just feel
Yeah,
like doesn't he give you like just nice guy vibes?
yeah, like
And I,
dude, like
and
just
I think that's probably what you're getting at. I feel like there should be more heat. There should be more backlash on kind of like his unfortunate plateauing self, because we haven't really seen him rise up and elevate and really
right.
kind of like
Seems
um,
like a nice, cool dude for sure.
match um, the maturation, some of the stakes, obviously, most notably the playoffs and stuff, and just being able to elevate the team as a whole. Like, how many times do we say, like, as a quarterback goes, like, we see their offense goes? Well, in Justin Herbert's case, if anything, I feel like he comes across more like, he's just along for the ride, like he's riding shotgun. You know what I mean? He's not
Yeah.
necessarily putting
He
this
also got
offense
paid
on
also
his
too.
on his back. You know what I mean? And really kind of like just nope, like I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna elevate. My play, my team, this offense, and we're gonna do this. I just
He's too
feel like
good to have these kind of performances to me, like, right?
he is too good. You would think to have these performances, but it's just like we now continue to just be waiting like year after year
Waiting
after
and waiting
year,
and yeah. Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just like it's not coming to fruition for whatever reason. So I feel like, but the thing that benefits him is that like he's very quiet, he's very reserved. He does have that accountability. You know what I mean? He doesn't really pop off and give these stupid sort of like snooty answers when things don't go well and stuff like that. Like as opposed to some of his peers, around the league. He just, I feel like, has a very calm mellowness um to him, where I feel like,
Yeah.
because of
Which
his
is fine, but
what
at some
because of his
point,
yeah, because of his personality and stuff like that, I feel like there's too much of that um
right.
is just him. And I
All
feel
right,
like
just
because
yeah.
because
Right.
because that is him, it just now also takes away from his ability and what people think
To be
that he
great.
is capable of and are expecting him to be, show signs of greatness and that alpha. And I just feel like that's probably, when looking at it in his game, what he's lacking. If he had that, we would
That
probably
killer
see him
that killer instinct.
yeah, we
Yeah.
would probably see him elevate himself by now, but we're just not, and I feel like we should have seen it by now. And the fact that here's another lost opportunity for him, time is ticking now, and I'm really, really doubting whether or not we're actually ever going to see that become a part of him. And if he doesn't, if it doesn't happen like legit as early as next season, I just think that he is what
Might be
he is at
time.
this point. He might even be
Yeah, I
what he
mean,
is
let's
now.
let's hope. Yeah, I mean, let's hope. Like you said, let's see the Chargers put a better offensive line around him and some more receivers, quality big name receivers or even quality receivers around him. And Harbaugh will be back again. Tough divisionals as well. You got the Chiefs, the Broncos in there as well. So, I mean, you know, we'll see moving forward. If they can put that stuff around him, better O line, more weapons around him, and if then it's still the same result, then maybe it might be time to part ways or it's just not working out. And he got paid a lot of money, but like you said, nice guy, but we want to see that killer instinct when it matters most. You just can't have these performances. Rex Ryan said the Texans were on a bye week for the Chargers. Houston, you're in trouble. Ryan said Houston would get dominated last week. Boy, was Rex Ryan wrong on that. Um, this one, Galen. I know you probably watched this game, and I watched this game, and I couldn't believe what I saw because I've never seen anything like this from this team, this franchise. The Steelers, I think they have tuned out Mike Tomlin for years now, Galen.
Oh
No
yeah.
playoff wins since 2016. They're not going for it on 4th and 1. Just brutal. Who's going to be the quarterback going forward? They just seem like they were out of it, Galen, that first half. They got a little spark in the second half, Galen. But Pickens seems like he's had enough of the Steelers offense as well, too. Very optimistic moving forward. Maybe serious changes coming. But Russell Wilson says he would love to be back with the team next season, but he's leaving it all up to God. I've got so much more ball left in me. Justin Fields, Galen, got screwed. I mean, the Steelers were 4-2 when Justin Fields was a team starter. Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson as their quarterback went 6-6. I mean, is Justin Fields the answer in Pittsburgh? And what should the Pittsburgh Steelers do with their quarterback position going into next season, Galen? I mean, it's a lot to digest here. Historic franchise known for their defense, great coaching over the years, but I've never seen a Pittsburgh team in this year, I mean 2024, 25, play this way. To me, they had no fight in them. They were just like sleepwalking out there. That just can't happen. Have they tune out Mike Tomlin, Galen, and who should be the starting quarterback next year? You take a chance on Russell Wilson. Seems like a lot of teams are having these issues, right? Vikings, now the Steelers. Have they tuned out Mike Tomlin, Galen?
It would appear that way. I mean, they're like the Kings, right? People want to talk about the Red Sox, for example, being the Kings of, oh, we're
Yeah,
interested in this one, we're interested in that one, but like, okay, enough with the interest, right? Like, go out and like
yeah.
throw some cash, right? A boatload of cash, and bring in that fish. Bring me someone. Stop with the whole interest dabbling. Like, I'm not interested in being interested. Well, same thing. If you're a Steelers fan and just kind of been following of what's been playing out the last like few years, again this year, it's just like, great, awesome. You guys take care of business, do what you got to do during the regular season. But then when the playoffs get here, I mean, how many one and duns, is going to be acceptable? Like, they just
Yeah.
cannot get out the first round. And, Mike Tomlin, you talk about consistency, has been one of the better coaches virtually forever now, like almost his whole time down in Pittsburgh. But it's just like, he's got one Super Bowl, but even then, I feel like so much of that team was basically what you know a big part of what Coward was what was left over from that sort of coaching tree and that regime, and that wasn't really his team. It wasn't really his guys. So after that Super Bowl, it's just like you could probably legitimately question even that. Just like, okay, but that really wasn't your team in full, looking way
Yeah.
back when. And I feel like if you haven't been able to now put together a championship type of squad since, then yeah, patience should be wearing thin. Guys, if it appears that like they're just tuning him out and they're just in one ear and out the other, and they don't seem to be
Something's
getting
missing. Something's missing.
getting his message, then I hate to say it, but I can't blame them. I mean, it's just the same old, and sometimes I feel like you need a new voice, you need a change of scenery in
Yeah.
terms of him,
At this point, yeah. Yeah.
maybe even players. Something's got to give, but they just, especially for what they're known for, being very effective and one of the better running teams over the years, year in and year out. They almost always are forced there. They always are able to assemble and have really good to great defenses. And they never really have struck me by as a team that struggles, you know what I mean, offensively, and can't really
Historically, no. Historically, no.
move the
No.
ball and put up points. So I feel
You're
like,
punting on 4th and 1 in a playoff game. How you do?
yeah,
How is that even
like
possible?
when you look at it, it's just like that shouldn't be, because that's not the Steelers of
Right.
old. So you know what I mean. Fourth and
Right.
one, yeah, that's kind of alarming, and again, very much a head scratcher. But it's just like, you're the Steelers. You know what I mean? Like, you guys normally have what you would think what it should take to make some noise in the playoffs, get to an AFC championship, maybe one or two of those years make it to another Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And actually win one for you. So I don't know if it's just his messaging just not really being taken seriously, if at all. I don't know if it's the immaturity, that could be, now rearing its ugly head, with some of the personnel that they have in house. And maybe if that's the case, some of these guys just have to be, sent out and shipped out, not re-signed or whatever. I don't know if maybe you can point it towards ownership not really investing in the team, to the extent of what they could be lacking, or coming up short. I don't know. It just, it seems to be something. I can't really put a finger on it, but I will say, you look at all the time that he's been there, getting back to Coach Tomlin. I just think that it's just time. I think they're at a crossroads where they just need a different voice. They need a different vision, and they just need, to find that next leader. Because as talented as the AFC has become, and some of these superstar quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. I mean, you didn't really
You
like
know
their
what you're gonna get with those guys. Those guys are
yeah,
automatic. You know you're gonna get a good
yeah,
performance, win or
you
lose.
didn't really like their chances, even if they did get beyond the first round. You know what I mean? So let's face it. So if you don't really see, championship, um, type opportunity, and just getting there, in terms of an AFC title game, or to even the second round, anytime soon, which I think is going to continue to be very problematic for them, then what are we waiting for? It's a matter of when and not if. I think they should just go ahead and move on, and just start to kind of hit that reset button. So when those teams do start to eventually, and those quarterbacks do start to kind of fall back uh, to to the pack a little bit, maybe now you're in position, and you've been kind of like, preparing for this all along, and now you're able to kind of like just pull up and continue moving forward, right on by some of these guys, some of these quarterbacks. Because I feel like, same thing with New England. It's gonna take a couple years, maybe even longer. You know what I mean? But by the time you get all those pieces in play, and you get everything, in house, like, okay, we're here, we've arrived, or whatever. Now you can kind of just, you can be ready to step up and take advantage of that opportunity. I think Pittsburgh no, they're not a full win team, obviously, but they should probably look to, get ready and plan for the future. So when it is, more ideally their opportunity, you step up and you're there to take advantage of it, and, hopefully get to where you haven't been able to for the last, 10 plus years.
I think it's a kind of like a win-win thing with the Tomlin and Steelers. I mean, it's just these performances just can't happen. I know he did sign an extension, but to me, it's just enough is enough. I mean, the last time this guy won a playoff game, Barack Obama was still president,
Yeah,
2016, Galen.
it's been a long, long time.
Um, Tomlin last won a playoff game 9 years ago in 2016. Um, you know, historically bad performances. Pittsburgh has lost the last six. So 36 to 17 versus your Patriots, 45-42 versus the Jaguars, 48-37 versus the Browns, 21 versus the Chiefs, 31 to 17 versus the Bills, 28 to 14 versus the Ravens. I mean, they've just been dominated, and even at halftime, most of the recent playoff games, 21 nothing to the Ravens, 21 nothing, 2023, 2024, 21 nothing to the Ravens, 2023, 21 nothing to the Bills, 2021, 21 to 7 to the Chiefs, 2020 Browns 35-10, 2017 Jaguars 21 nothing. All of these games are by halftime, Galen. It's the trend every year. So to me, something is missing here. I don't know. Since Big Ben left, has been an issue finding the right guy. But Kenny Pickett thought he was the right guy. It didn't work out. Maddox didn't work out. Um, it's just not working, man. I mean, that fan base is great, right? And they deserve better. I mean, Tomlin's a great guy, obviously, great coach, never had a losing season. But in 8, 9 years, any other coach would have been fired, Galen, a long time ago.
I mean, what you're
So why
describing
can't
here,
the Steelers just make this move? I
yeah.
mean, besides the extension, And was Justin Fields the guy? Should they have stuck with Justin Fields and not go with Russell Wilson? And Russell Wilson, is he coming back next year? He wants to be back. Should he come back, Galen?
Right. I mean, what you're describing is they've been a good franchise, very steady, very
Right.
consistent. They've been good.
Right.
But you
Hmm.
talk about a fan base. Doesn't that just reek and just assume you would think from afar?
Right.
Doesn't that? I feel like that fan base is being robbed of greatness. They deserve great.